Let's talk about one of the biggest scandals of the 1980s, and that is the PTL scandal from 1987. Now, PTL was a Christian television network, a satellite network, known as Praise the Lord. But after PTL folded and Jim Bakker was arrested, people started making the joke that it was pass the loot because of all the money that had passed through the hands of PTL and the extravagant lifestyle of the Bakkers, Jim and Tammy Faye Bakker. But you have to go back to 1979 when the federal government was starting to investigate Jim and Tammy Faye Bakker and PTL. But the scandal itself would not break until 1987, when Jim Bakker resigned from PTL and stepped down from his management of his theme park, Heritage USA. And at the same time, Jessica Hahn, who was a model/actress or working towards being a model/actress, she was also a church secretary. She had come forward accusing Jim Bakker of trying to take advantage of her, as well as fellow preacher John Wesley, trying to drug her, take advantage of her, in this incident that took place in December 1980 in a hotel room on Clearwater Beach, Florida. Now, I'm from the Tampa Bay area originally, and this is something that people still talk about today. And Hahn was originally paid $279,000 to stay quiet. And in 1987, according to the IRS, the Bakkers received $10 million in excessive compensation. This is after the scandal broke. And PTL owed the government over $55 million in back taxes. Just to give you an idea of the extravagance of the Bakkers, their Palm Springs home sold for $2.2 million. Jim owned a 1939 Rolls-Royce and a 1953 Silver Dawn Rolls-Royce, which was burgundy and tan, and this Silver Dawn Rolls-Royce was worth $55,000. Tammy Faye alone would spend $67,000 in women's clothing. There was also $1.3 million in various purchases such as jewelry, watches, etc. But in 1978, so about a year before the federal government started investigating the Bakkers and PTL, the Charlotte Observer started running a series of exposés on PTL and the organization. And this took 10 years. And this is what Bakker would do on the air. He would propose projects, but was careless when tracking the expenses of these projects. So he wouldn't deliver on his promise or promises. For example, Dr. Chow from South Korea was promised about $1 million worth of TV equipment, never received it, or very little. Then there was this Middle Eastern project. They're supposed to have these studios in South Korea, the Middle East, Brazil, but either the studios were non-operational, didn't exist, or they never received the equipment. And Jim would also offer gifts on the air, which opened up the door to possible mail and wire fraud. Now, in 1987, when the scandal broke, in July of that year, so you have Jim Bakker who steps down in March, on March 19, 1987, and you have Jerry Falwell during this taping that took a couple of sessions to tape because of the scandal. But during this taping in July, he addressed the studio audience and viewers regarding the scandal, saying that PTL was in Chapter 11 bankruptcy, they were in negotiations, trying to reorganize, restructure. He also claimed that PTL owed $72 million in indebtedness, and that they had $100 to $180 million worth of partnerships, lifetime partnerships, which promised 4 days and 3 nights at the Heritage Grand Hotel, and that hotel had yet to be completed or constructed. And he claimed that they had oversold those rooms at the Heritage Grand by 325%, or 3.25 families waiting per room per night forever. And there's an infamous clip of this here on YouTube. You can find it wherever. And some believe that they were buying a timeshare and not a lifetime PTL membership. So this revelation led to one male audience member shouting over Falwell. Falwell tried to calm him down, and he cued the band to start playing some music. They brought a singer out, kind of drowned this guy out. He was later escorted out by security. But this was a fiasco all the way around. I mean, just the excesses of the Bakkers, the way that PTL was handled. And I really think it's just something that got bigger than what they expected, and they just didn't know how to manage it. And Jim Bakker was indicted on federal charges on mail and wire fraud and of conspiring to defraud the public on October 4th, 1988. So what went wrong? Well, Jim and Tammy just started out innocently with a children's show, 1-hour children's show with Pat Robertson. I think this was in Connecticut. No, it was in Virginia, pardon me, in Virginia. He had a small station, struggling station in Virginia. And Jim wanted his daytime TV show for PTL to be like The Tonight Show. He idolized Johnny Carson. And in the 1970s, you had new video and satellite technology that allowed PTL to expand its broadcast. And by the middle of the 1980s, it was one of the largest, PTL was one of the largest employers, or second largest employer in Charlotte, North Carolina. They were bringing in $120 million per year. They had 2,000 employees. But because of Jim and Tammy's extravagant lifestyle and this thing called PTL, which got a little too big for its britches, it failed. And it's really sad to see that this happened to the Bakers, who I think honestly really had good intentions. But they just got caught up in the moment, in all the trappings that come with fame, the money that pours in, and just, like I said, it was just not being managed correctly. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please click that like button, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram at hashtag Jason Composes, leave comments below, and now you can reach me at Twitter, Culture Confederacy at Twitter. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a while, and I remember when PTL broke. I was a kid then. I was one of these latchkey kids in the 80s. I was born in 77. So I was 10 years old at the time, 10 years old. But I remember when the scandal broke, and I remember what happened with Jimmy Swaggart. So this was a scandal that started a series of scandals, if you will. You had Jimmy Swaggart, and you had Peter Popoff, and some of these other televangelists that were found guilty of embezzling funds and that sort of thing. And even today, Peter Popoff is still engaging in, I don't want to accuse him of mail fraud, but in rather this mail scheme where, and I've seen videos of this, it's unreal. You know, you send off for this information from Peter Popoff, let's say you send him $10, and he starts flooding you. I mean, just literally flooding you with pieces of mail. I mean, and you just get caught up in all the paperwork. And he sends you these little trinkets. It's insane. But just to clarify here, what you see on TV with televangelists is not your local pastor. It's not Christianity in your community. We need to make that clear. Because I think when these scandals broke, they left a stain on Christianity in the United States. That these people are Christians, are rich, they're spoiled, they drive around in limousines, and that's really not the case. Like I said, your local pastor is trying to run a church, and that church survives on the tithes of its member. On the tithe. Well, I'm sure there's a church out there that's got one member, but survives on the funds, or rather the tithes, of its members. And that's the way that biblically it's supposed to be. You're supposed to tithe 10% to the church. I grew up in a non-denominational Christian church, so I know all about this. And that was a scandal, the PTL scandal, Jimmy Swaggart scandal, that affected local churches that had to look at their own operations and how things are run. Now, Billy Graham, one thing about Billy Graham is Billy Graham was honest. He was one of the most honest preachers out there. And I had the chance actually to go and see a Billy Graham crusade, which was pretty cool. If you've never had the chance to do that, it's words can't describe the experience. It's really, really neat. And it just was amazing to see all these people in the stands that are there to praise the Lord. I'm not going to deny it. I believe in God. I believe in Christianity. And I personally think that Christianity is something that has brought a lot of good to the world. Now, you can make arguments about differences in theology between the Catholic Church and these different branches of Christianity, or different traditions amongst the Lutherans, Catholics, Protestants, non-denominational churches. We can have that discussion. That's for another time. But just keep in mind that these scandals involve televangelists who got a little too big for their britches, as I said, with the Bakers. And when you have fame, what do you do with it? How do you manage it? So once again, if you enjoyed the video, please click that like button, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram at hashtag Jason Composes, leave comments below, and now you can reach me at Twitter, Culture Confederacy at Twitter. This is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out, stay safe everybody, God bless this great country, and I'll catch you next time. And this is another one of those one-take videos. I'm going to start doing more of these one-take videos because it just takes too long to have to sit here and re-edit videos. I'm using crude technology, so to speak, just using my smartphone for this. So this is the Culture Confederacy saying peace out. I'll catch you next time. Once again, stay safe, everybody. God bless this great country. And this will probably be the only video for the week, so I'll catch you next week. Take care, everybody.